YouTube, what is good? It is Gino Bonino, and it is Wednesday, New Comic Book Day, I believe the 5th or 6th of March. Um, want to, first of all, before I go any further, give a shout out to the great legend who gave me the honor to piggyback off his channel and do my very first online, in-person YouTube auction this past weekend. It was a great success. I was a little bit freaked out about it. I wasn't sure if I had the right equipment to get hooked up to him, which it turns out I did. And then the second thing a person always worries about is when I'm offering what people want to bid on. As it turns out, we had 4 rounds. They were all successful. They went well. I want to thank everybody who bid, or everybody that just were there watching. We actually had a pretty good crowd on a Saturday night. And once again, massive props to the legend. Guys, he comes through as a nice guy on his videos online, and I can tell you that is not an act. He's an incredibly nice guy, has an immense love for the hobby, and he's into video games and all that kind of stuff. And he's just as nice, just as humble as could be. So once again, sets a really good example for this small little community that we have on YouTube. Again, I just can't say enough. Thank you once again, Legend, for allowing me to piggyback. It was an honor. Now that we're past that, by the way, if you did buy from me, your books are in the mail. They did go up priority a couple days ago. They should be there either tomorrow or the next day, depending on what the weather's like. It was kind of nasty here the last couple days, and I didn't really want to mail anything when it was humid and rainy out and stuff like that, so I waited, and everything went out, like I said, yesterday. So it went out 2-day priority, so it should be there soon. So let's talk a little bit. Went to the LCS, like I had mentioned, and picked up this week's books, at least those that I hadn't ordered online. The way I normally do this is I do some of my ordering online with Midtown, usually because I know well in advance sort of what I'm looking at. Also because it's nice to save the 15% and sales tax. We have a pretty healthy sales tax here in the state I live in. And however, I also believe in buying local and supporting my comic book store. Again, sadly, they're a bit of a dying breed, and so I want to support both. So what I typically do is order some of my books online, and then some of my books I also get in person, or sometimes I double up and get both. So these are books that I actually got in person. Like I mentioned, I do have some that are ordered that you won't see. For example, Avengers and things of that nature. I ordered online because I knew it was a story that I kind of am following week to week, or usually month to month, but with the Avengers book, it's week to week now. And so there's that. But this one I picked up, this is called Meet the Skrulls, the Scotty Young variant. Usually not too terribly into Scotty Young, I hate to say. But this one caught my interest just because it's kind of the mishmash of all the different Marvel characters. You got the Thing, and you've got Wolverine, and Iron Man, and Thor, and just a bunch of cool Marvel characters thrown in. So it caught my interest for that reason. Second book that I want to talk about is called Morning in America. The reason this book caught my interest is because it is a movie poster cover swipe. And the movie in this case is They Live. If you've never seen it, it's actually a very cool movie about there being hidden aliens around society and how only you can see them if you only have special glasses on. Rowdy Roddy Piper is actually the main or lead actor. It was his first movie role, I believe, his first major movie role, or starring movie role. And the very famous, saying, "I've come to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum," came from this movie. He comes into a bank, and it's full of aliens, and he lets that one fly, and that was always a funny line. But anyway, this is there were 2 covers. There was this one and the one I didn't get, which was a cover swipe of the Kiefer Sutherland movie. What was it called? It's completely escapes me, but it was the vampire movie Kiefer Sutherland was in. Very famous, and again, it escapes me. Again, brain farting. I'm sure you guys will know, and I'm sure I'll have it and put it here in writing somewhere in this area, and when I edit this. Third one I got was Immortal Hulk number 14. Once again, an incredible Alex Ross cover. This story, I'm sure, will take place outside of Hell. They will be probably back on Earth, and it'll be a continuation there. There'll be, I'm sure, some fallback as far as what the Hulk discovered while he was in Hell and how that pertains to his life going forward and stuff of that nature, and also Bruce Banner. Incredible series. I get asked all the time if it's hype or if it's really, worth its weight in gold, and I'll tell you, I really do believe it's a well-written series. It was underappreciated when it first came out, which means you're not going to have very high print runs in a lot of the books, and it also means that the runs that you will have, or the books that people did buy, are probably going to keep increasing, because what's happened is it's taken on sort of a cult. I don't want to say cult, because it started out as what I would say a cult following, and now it's turned into a mainstream thing. And what's happening, so a lot of people that missed out on the books with issue 2, 3, 4, etc., are now scrambling to get them to fill the run, and they're not doing it. The problem, however, is the cat's kind of out of the bag. So your issues that you're going to have now going forward, even though they're going to be great issues and great story and all that, they're going to be printed, by the hundreds of thousands probably, or at least, near 100,000. So is that bad or good? I don't really know. I mean, it doesn't affect the story, and you should be buying them for a story anyway. But as far as getting stuff that's going to increase in value, my guess is there's going to be a lot of these, so hard to say. But nonetheless, it did sell out, so I bought a couple issues for my own reading, and also I usually put one aside and one for reading is kind of how it works. If I do decide to flip something and make a little extra money to reinvest, sometimes I'll buy 4 copies, 2 I'll sell, 1 I'll hang on to, and 1 I'll read. But in this case, I just decided to go this route. Next one I got is Deadpool 10, and this is the first full appearance of the character Goodnight, someone who is seeking revenge on Deadpool because he killed his parents. And again, I think that is him on the cover. Looks a little bit like Daredevil, reminds me a little bit of Daredevil, kind of the same color costume, at least on the cover. And I believe this is supposed to be a statue, or it's supposed to be Deadpool, but the cover reminds me a little bit of the I think it was issue 6, if my memory serves me right, the one where Deadpool does the swipe for garbage pail kids, kind of the same thing with his tongue hanging out and whatnot. But anyway, next issue I bought is Conan number 4. This is the SpiderMan Villain. They're doing a SpiderMan Villain variant, and this was Brooks' cover. I'm hearing kind of mixed reviews on Red Goblin. And my own personal feeling is I liked him as a character. You can't really go wrong when you have somebody that's half Carnage and half Green Goblin. I know they should, people say they mixed 2 things and kind of ruined them both. Why not leave it alone? But I just thought it was kind of a cool hybrid going that route. And I really like the way he looks. And my favorite thing is the pumpkins, the talking pumpkins who will sneak up on you, bite you, and then will explode. Just nasty. I think what happened with Red Goblin is it was kind of a series, or it's kind of an arc that started out well enough, and people were very interested, and then they just sort of did a little bit of a money grab. With issue 800, issue 801, they overprinted and over-varianted Red Goblin, and sadly what happened is, I think, like anything, there's kind of that fine line in comics where if something has some exposure but not too much exposure, it stays relevant. When you get something that's overexposed, it tends to people get tired of it, no matter how cool the character is. I don't care if you're talking about Wolverine or talking about Deadpool or Venom or whatever. If you get overexposure, oversaturation, people get a little bit fed up and feel they kind of see that the company is just looking to make a buck, and that's kind of what I think happened here a little bit, unfortunately. But my gut is telling me that our buddy Red Goblin is about ready to make a comeback. So I wouldn't doubt if some of those past issues, 797, etc., will start turning into good copies to have in your back issue bins. My recommendation is to go find them, know where they are, because I have a feeling that, again, the character is going to get resurrected. He may be a slight different variation of what he was when he was in that run of Spider-Man. It may turn out that he's kind of his own separate entity or whatever the case may be, but my guess, once again, is that he will come back. But again, I really like the character. As a matter of fact, I just got the action figure, the Marvel Legends, came out not too long ago, and I sprung for it. It's in backer. I'd show you guys it. And it's really well done. Very much looks like this. Has a few different masks and things like that. Switching on to DC, we've got Green Arrow number 50. This is the last issue. This is one of those covers that actually looked much cooler as a Virgin variant. Sadly, what they did is they kind of took the most interesting thing about the cover, which was him putting on the mask, and it kind of got wish-washed by the way that the printing is. It's kind of printed over half the mask, and also it's a little darker than I had expected, than I was led to believe with the variant. Still a great issue and still a great cover, but again, it's just not quite as interesting as it would have been had if it was a Virgin cover. That's just my own 2 cents on it. Next is very cool Star Wars. If you're especially a fan of Darth Vader, this one kind of takes me back. I don't know, for those of you that are a little bit older, you might remember the heavy metal band Molly Hatchet. Their covers were typically that art form where it was always kind of like a Viking or a warrior on a horse. Always looked like weary, like he was battle weary. Usually had something nasty in his hand, like a mace or a big sword or something of that nature, a double-ended battle axe, and that's what this reminds me of. And matter of fact, it may be a takeoff of that. But my understanding of this story is that these are kind of standalone one-shot stories, so you don't have to be completely invested in the everybody kind of knows the Star Wars story, I would hope, but in this particular case, you don't need to, you don't need to know each and every character, what they've done in issues past. This one kind of stands on its own, which makes it a good pickup for people that are just looking for one book to, kind of figure out the origin of Darth Vader and stuff like that. Next is a Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys the Marvel History. This is Zafrino art, and he has an interesting style. He was the artist that the last famous book he did, or book that was kind of had notoriety, was Dead Man Logan number 4. And his style is very interesting. It's also, you can identify quickly. He does a lot of stuff with kind of the pen or pencils or whatever he's drawing with, consisting a lot of kind of squared off jaws, almost look a little bit disjointed off the face, and a lot of stuff with straight lines. So once again, this is his take on the Marvel Universe, with the Hulk. Looks a lot of people either dead or knocked out or whatever, and I guess because of Cosmic Ghost Rider. Very, 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 again, interesting because of the artwork. The other one I decided to get the Pacino cover, or Pacheco cover, excuse me. The main reason I got this is because of the swipe of Fantastic Four 49. Of all the books, Fantastic Four, other than the very first ones, the story arc 48, 49, 50 are kind of my favorites. And this takes me to kind of issue 49, where you've got Galactus hands and then the Fantastic Four running away from it. I did look actually at the issue, and even though it's a swipe of that, it's not exact. I know the Fantastic Four is lined up differently than they were on 49. But once again, sort of the same concept of the hands coming towards them and them running away. Next is the Chew cover of Harley Quinn number 59. Somewhat similar to 58, a little bit less busy though, and kind of interesting. She's got kind of an anime look to her, if you will. I don't want to necessarily say anime, but a little bit more of a cartoonish look to her. However, the rest of her anatomy is well developed, if you know what I'm saying. So, again, I think this will be an appealing cover. I like the way that the bat kind of comes towards us, sort of the forced perspective, stuff like that. It's a cool book. Then I also found a few back issues while I was there. I always do a little bit of digging. I got Green Lantern 48. I know this is a book that Doom showed not too long ago, and then I showed it not too long before that. Just a cool book. Whenever I see it for a good price, I pick it up. This one was $5. I figured, what the heck? It's a kind of a interesting book dealing with Hal Jordan and sort of, that whole storyline and before kind of the beginning of the end sort of thing. Found these in the dollar bin. These were just put in the dollar bin. Teen Titans 0 and Teen Titans 17 or 15, excuse me, with the what I call it kind of the crazy Joker cutout cover. You see this was a pretty famous Joker cover, probably my second or third favorite. Trinity number 1, also in the dollar bin, and Justice League, also number 1. I think from the 4th series with a Joker cover. Couldn't go wrong. So again, for $1, what can you do? Then I was lucky enough to pick up a Immortal Hulk 10. What had happened was my comic store sold out of them. He tried to order me some, and because it was a fairly popular series back then, he was unfortunately not able to get any more. But what happened is he remembered, and then somebody must have had a box, a pull box, that either they didn't pick up or decided, that they were just going to leave vacant. So he pulled it out of there and asked me if I wanted it still. I said yes, so he gave it to me. Die number 3. And last but not least, I bought this one. This is Uncanny XMen 251. Very cool, iconic Wolverine on a kind of, instead of a cross, he's on an X. And not a lot of purple colored books, if you think about it. This is one of them. And again, very iconic with the green shadowing and the purple. This is one I hadn't had in my collection. It was always kind of in the back of my mind as I wanted it if I can find it cheap enough, and I got it at a good price, so I picked it up. And that is it, guys. So once again, thanks for watching. This is Gino Bonino, and I am out, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.